This video and every video on this channel is made possible by your support on patreon.com/616entertainment. I couldn't do this without you, and your contributions keep this channel alive. You can also grab an official shirt over on prowrestlingtees.com/616entertainment. Freddy vs. Jason. This 2003 horror classic delivered exactly what we'd all hoped and dreamed for. The Springwood slasher, the burnt and gnarled face of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, Freddy Krueger, going to war with the legendary butcher of Camp Crystal Lake, Jason Voorhees. In between their blood-soaked showdowns, the bodies of the innocent pile up. What's not to love? I first saw Freddy vs. Jason on a bootleg DVD that was so blurry that certain parts had me wondering what the hell was going on, but that didn't stop me from watching this one over and over again. I was 13 years old and this movie had it all. Blood, boobs, and two icons of horror fighting to a finish. The movie ends on a cliffhanger, with Jason Voorhees emerging from the waters of Crystal Lake with Freddy's severed head, seemingly establishing him as the ultimate winner. That is until Freddy winks at the camera, letting us all know that this was just the beginning. And then, it wasn't. Freddy vs. Jason 2 never happened. Over the years, I wrote my own damn sequels. I've pitched Freddy vs. Jason 2 as a video game on podcasts dating back more than 5 years. I wanted this story to continue so badly that I guess I just never shut the hell up about it. And here we are in 2022, and I'm still on the same subject. But this time I'm coming at it from a different perspective. I'm here today to tell you that Freddy vs. Jason 2 does exist. And no, I'm not talking about some fugazi, unfinished script that was never produced, and that's why you've not heard of it, because it's not real. The sequel is a graphic novel that brought a third horror icon into the mix, Ash Williams from the Evil Dead franchise. Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash takes the colossal main event of the 2003 film and cranks the blood dial up to 11. This is a triple threat match booked in the abyss of our childhood nightmares. But can this concept survive the transition from the big screen to the printed page? What's up, Dan-Dans? My name is Ian. Welcome to Scream Sequence, razor sharp reviews of your favorite creepy classics. This is a pilot episode of sorts. This show will become a full series once we hit 200 supporters over on patreon.com/616entertainment. At that point, I'll be able to produce a full season of this show. And we're already over 130, so this is not an unrealistic goal. But I don't expect anyone to support something they've never seen before, so think of this episode as a proof of concept. That seems like a good idea, right? For as little as $2 a month, which is less than a cup of coffee on your way to work, you can help bring shows like Scream Sequence and 616 Thunder, a second weekly wrestling game show, to life. The growth of this channel and the existence of these series lies with you guys, so if you want to see this happen, let me know over on Patreon. But enough of that, let's get down to business. Let's talk about Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash. You might be wondering how the hell this is an officially released DC Comics and Dynamite Entertainment co-published graphic novel that was sold in stores across the country, and yet you've never heard of it. Here's the thing. Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash's first issue hit store shelves 15 years ago. It's not like this thing dropped last month and just went under the radar. No, it's been out there since 2007. And it's been out of print for years. You're not going to walk into your local comic shop and find this on the shelf for $17.99 anymore. Ask me how I know. Yes, I paid $125 for this book so I could create this review for you guys. Did I mention I need your help to turn Scream Sequence into a full series? Before we get into the story itself, let's cover why Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash is a graphic novel rather than a movie. Because I mean, it was supposed to be a movie. The treatment was presented by Jeff Katz, a New Line Cinema producer who worked on the first Freddy vs. Jason. He also worked for WCW back in the 90s, which might seem irrelevant to this story, but it's really not. You see, in wrestling, you hear stories about certain guys not wanting to lose, or not wanting to look weak. That doesn't work for me, brother. Well, the first major stopping point in Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash as a film came in the shape of New Line Cinema being concerned with the premise of Freddy Krueger, their most valuable horror property, losing too many fights. And if this sounds ridiculous, number one, it is. He's a fictional character. It's not real. I mean, think about it. Don't Freddy and Jason and Chucky and insert another horror icon here, don't they lose at the end of all of their movies anyway? Number two, even if it is ridiculous, it's true. It comes straight from the mouth of Freddy Krueger himself, the legendary Robert Englund. It's worth noting that, like a true professional, Englund couldn't give less of a shit whether Freddy Krueger won at the end of the day. He was all about Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash and was bummed when it didn't materialize. Bruce Campbell, the man behind the Ash Williams character, has also spoken up on the topic. Unlike Englund, Campbell was not keen on the triple threat idea, even going so far as to call it creatively bankrupt. He also pointed to money being a major factor as well. Man, just like wrestling, the movie business is full of politic and carnies too, isn't it? Okay, enough setup. I'm not trying to keep you here for an hour. Let's tell this story. We open up with Laurie and Will, the only two survivors from the Freddy vs. Jason movie, traveling back to Camp Crystal Lake. 5 years have passed since that horrifying night, and Molly needs to make sure that Freddy and Jason are truly dead. If this sounds like a bad idea, it's because it is. Don't believe me? You don't have to. Ask Molly and Will themselves. Oh wait, they're both savagely murdered by Jason inside of the first 10 pages. Holy shit! In case you were wondering, no, we are not playing around here. Narrating this entire scene, quite cynically I might add, is the new star of the show, Ash Williams. He's not coming here to fight Jason though, no, he's just been called into the local S-Mart to whip their home decor section into shape. Isn't that fantastic? Jason brings the corpses of Molly and Will home to Mommy and, oh my god, Jason keeps Freddy's severed head right next to his mother's. This is tremendous. This is where Freddy comes into play. How the hell is he still going, you might ask, seeing as though he's bodiless? Well, Freddy's dead. At this point, he exists purely inside the mind of Jason. Being in Jason's mind allows him to explore the nooks and crannies of Jason's memories, and that's how Freddy comes up with his plan. You see, way back when Jason was just a little baby boy, old Pamela Voorhees would read little Jason passages from her favorite book, the Necronomicon, straight out of the Evil Dead movies. And before you say, come on, that's a little far-fetched, don't forget, we saw the Necronomicon in Jason's house all the way back in 1993's Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. This might feel like some shoehorned together nonsense, but it's not. It all lines up perfectly well, which is awesome. And it also finally offers an explanation for where Jason's powers come from. He's a fucking Deadite. Come on, dude. Freddy, acting as something of an abusive father figure to Jason, through his nightmares and imagination, convinces Jason to retrieve the Book of the Dead so that he can free himself from Jason's mind and regain his body. Jason heads out in search of the book. He's cutting people down left and right on his way to his old house, and wouldn't you know it, Ash is on his way there too. He caught wind of this Jason fella and his deeds, and having heard this same song and dance before, he knows what needs to be done. He needs the Book of the Dead to send this ghoul away for good. While he's down in the basement retrieving the book, Jason is absolutely slaughtering the trespassing teenagers upstairs. A battle between the two is teased, but Ash and his allies are able to narrowly escape for a second. They head back to the store, and guess who followed them all the way there? Heads are chopped in half, innocent people are torn apart, and the first fight is on. Ash is cracking jokes with his attacks, Jason's throwing him through walls. The art is so perfectly drawn up that you can imagine exactly what this would have looked like in live action. This first showdown comes to an end with the book in Jason's hand and Ash in a heap on the floor. Jason stomps back to his lair, presents the book to Freddy, and guess who's back? The Dream Master, in the flesh, once again. We're only halfway through this story, and I don't know about you guys, but for me, this is shaping up way better than I ever could have imagined. I'm serious when I call Freddy vs. Jason a classic. Sure, there's some bad acting, and the story kind of reiterates itself 10 times, just in case you're an idiot. That was some thunder out there that I'm not going to edit out because it's cool. But on the fun scale, Freddy vs. Jason is up there with the best of them. But adding a third major player to the battle that is this story could have been too much. It could have been overkill in the worst way. But it's not. Ash Williams is awesome and he fits in perfectly. The reason I think Ash works so well as the new lead is because he does cool shit. You weren't rooting for Laurie and Will in the first Freddy vs. Jason movie. I've been calling Laurie Molly throughout most of this video just to see if you'd notice. Did you notice? Probably not, because you don't care. There's the proof. Freddy and Jason are doing cool shit. We were rooting for the bad guys in that first movie. Now we're rooting for a lead that we can get behind because he's doing cool shit. It's not that hard to figure out. But let's not get too sidetracked. Let's get back to business. Ash and the S-Mart survivors hide out for the night, and before long, Mr. Williams dozes off. When he wakes up, it's a miracle. The hand the Deadites forced him to chop off all those years ago has regenerated. Yeah, right. This is Freddy's doing, the sick bastard. That's just like old Krueger, isn't it? Dangling that carrot in front of his prey. Ash, without missing a beat, uses a chainsaw to cut his hand off again. As blood pools on the floor, the individual droplets form into tiny little Freddys until they all coagulate together into the real deal. What a fucking entrance, man. There's a struggle, and before the good guys can escape, Freddy slips into one of their dreams. A good trick never goes out of style. Business picks up when the remaining crew set a trap for the oncoming Freddy and Jason tag team, and we see Jason actually outsmarting the good guys. He notices and avoids their traps. He even turns to them and wags his finger as if to say, This is because Freddy, as a thank you for retrieving the book in the first place, used it to grace Jason with some basic street smarts. He's not going to wind up doing your algebra homework, but hey, it's better than nothing, right? Ash is able to make it to the Book of the Dead before anybody else when wham! Freddy pounces. Oh, and Ash wasn't first. Freddy's already used the book to grant himself godlike powers that now allow him to manipulate the real world just like the dream world. This is a problem. It also gives us the return of what I call Red Devil Freddy. I always loved this look from the Freddy vs. Jason movie, and I'm happy to see it here. Freddy, having gotten all he needed out of Jason, calls off the Alliance. He raises the slain enemies of Jason's past to take care of the big man, and he possesses the entire forest that Ash is attempting to escape through. This is haunting stuff right here. And after Ash is forced to fight off a gang of little demon girls conjured by the Dream Master, we head into the climax. The plan is this. Ash will go toe-to-toe with the gruesome twosome in a triple threat for the ages, and when the time is right, the sole survivor, Carrie, will read the passage from the Book of the Dead, banishing Freddy and Jason to the evil Deadite dimension forever. The amazing moments here are too numerous to count them all, so I'll just hit you with some highlights. Freddy's promo on Carrie here is one of his greatest of all time.
Oh God!
God? Is that who you want?
I can give you, God. This is my body, it is your bread. This is my blood, it is your wine. Bread and wine, all for you, Caroline. Now eat me, bitch! Ha 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 ha!
Ash cuts Jason's mask in half with his chainsaw, revealing a rotting, putrid face. This look has become famous amongst hardcore fans, many of whom have customized their collectible masks in tribute. When Ash cuts Jason's hand off, Jason plunges his machete blade into the stump, to which Ash remarks, "I guess there truly are no original ideas left." Fantastic. When taunting Freddy and Jason to come get him, Ash compares the incoming battle to working in retail for 10 years. Ash is the man. Like I said, we don't have time to cover everything, but there are so many moments here that just ooze greatness. Shotgun blast through Jason's chest. Freddy clones himself and Jason starts cutting them all into bits. This final showdown is a main event anywhere in the world. Ash is getting pinballed between Jason and Freddy, just tossed around like a toy, and that's when Carrie recites the Necronomicon's banishing passage. Freddy is blinked out of our existence, Jason is crushed by a car and sinks to the bottom of Crystal Lake, and Ash and Carrie drive away into the night. We come to a close with the Book of the Dead resting atop the ice, its pages opened up to some very interesting imagery. The ending of Freddy vs. Jason, the movie, left room for debate when it came to a winner. See, I think it's pretty clear that you call Jason the winner, because when everything died down, Jason's up and walking around. Freddy has no body, his head was cut off. But Freddy winks at the camera. Look, there's room for argument. Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash leaves no doubt. Ash Williams is the winner. Freddy was banished to the Deadite realm. Jason sunk to the bottom of the ocean. Ash Williams drives away with the babe and hits one of his key catchphrases. Come on, are we playing here? I always respect a versus movie that has the balls to give us a clear winner. And while this isn't a movie, you know what I mean. A versus scenario of any kind. Whatever. Could Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, as a movie, have lived up to the level of the first installment? Honestly, yeah, I think it would've. I'm using my imagination here and reading in Bruce Campbell's voice, but the dialogue is so well done that I can hear it perfectly in my head. Same with Robert Englund when it comes to Freddy's writing. The gore is absolutely top shelf, the comedy is on point, and this book doesn't overstay its welcome. This entire story was told across just 6 issues and comes in at just 133 pages. You can read it in a single sitting with no trouble. I'm one of those people that truly loves the insanity of Freddy vs. Jason as a movie, so my expectations were high for this book, and I must admit, Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash exceeded those expectations. The only unfortunate part for horror fans who want to own it is the whole out-of-print thing. This book is extremely expensive these days, and now that I've covered it, it's for sale. I'm serious. Hit me up in the comments if you're interested. The question remains though, is it really over? I mean, Jason's been drowned in the lake 25 times at this point. Freddy's come back from worse too, right? Well, I've got news for you. Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash 2, The Nightmare Warriors, is sitting right here, just begging to be reviewed on Scream Sequence. Dan, thank you so much for joining me for this pilot episode of Scream Sequence. Like I said at the top, if the support for this show exists, I can turn this into a full series. And if you want to see that happen, sign up at any level over on patreon.com/616entertainment. We can do this. I just need your help. There's so much more to cover, from Texas Chainsaw Massacre to Child's Play. We can go older than that. We can get weirder than that. And hey, maybe it was a bad idea to start with a comic book and not a movie, but whatever. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments. I hope there's a next time for this show where we can dive into more horror together. And one more time, if you want to see Scream Sequence become a series, you have the power to make that happen. Thank you very much for joining me here today. Until next time, I love you, and I will see you soon.